Hello and welcome to Soup to Nuts installing Lightroom 5 2B. Here we are talking about installing Lightroom 5 on a Macintosh, and you can see right here that it's called Lightroom 5 and it's got a .dmg extension. This is the equivalent of a zip file or the cab file on Windows, and the process is going to be very similar. So all we're going to do is we're going to just double click on that DMG file, and when you open up the DMG file, it's going to do that same thing. It's going to do that extraction, and you notice how it's going to create this icon on your desktop. This is just the icon for the installer package. So once we're finished with this, we can go ahead and remove or eject that. Think of it like a CD or a DVD. You can eject that from your desktop so that it's no longer cluttering your space. So don't be alarmed that that shows up initially. Now inside here, inside this installer packet for version 5.2 of Lightroom, you see a package file and a PDF file. You can read through this if you want to. You don't have to, because you're going to get that license agreement when you go through the package installation as well. Adobe has made it fairly easy, very straightforward. All you're going to do is double click on that package file, and when you double click on the package file, it'll open up the installer process here. Here's your introduction, and you can just continue and click your way through that, with one little difference here on the Macintosh system, and it'll depend on how you have things configured, of course. But on my system, after I agree to the license agreement, and I agreed to the install destination location, and here you see it takes up 1.11 gigabytes of space on my Mac, so it's a little bit larger than it was on Windows. And once I proceed with the installation, what this is going to do is it's not going to prompt me whether my password will allow for the installation. So I have my Macintosh set up a little differently than I have my Windows computer set up. So I am going to have to type in a password here to confirm that I want to allow this software to get installed on my computer. And the reason why I do that for my laptop is because this does travel with me quite extensively, and I don't want just anyone to install anything on my computer. At my desktop computer, I'm a little more okay with that, not prompting for a password, because it's in my house. I have much more control over it there than I do here. So now that I've typed my password in, I'll just go ahead and say yes to install the software, and that'll add it to my keychain. And now that'll continue to configure and install Lightroom 5.2 on my MacBook Pro. And you may want to have a security feature like this in place on your own system if it's a laptop and you travel with it, just because other people can get their hands on your mobile devices and equipment. And this can be a security feature, so you can make sure that your system is staying secure. Once this installation is finished, we'll come right back and we'll show you what the end of the process looks like. Welcome back, and with having finished the Lightroom 5 installation, we're prompted with this notification saying that the installation has been successful. Then all we have to do is close out of this window, and then we can also close out of the installation software, and now we can also eject this. So I'm going to press Control and then click on my Mac, and I'm going to eject that from my desktop. So now the icon will be removed and I can clean things up. And now you'll see that we can take this DMG file and we can completely remove that from our desktop as well. So I'm just going to dump that down in the trash there, so that way I can get rid of it and clear space on my computer. Again, some people like to store this kind of stuff. I personally do not. I don't care about storing the installer files. I'm going to go and get an update from Adobe eventually anyway, so there's no sense in cluttering up my desktop with that. Some people like to maintain it, others don't. It'll depend on what you want to do. So now the other question that comes up is whether or not this has overwritten anything in Lightroom 4. And the answer, again, just like in Windows, is no, because it's got a separate name inside your Adobe system. And here you can see my prior version of Lightroom 4 is on here, and now I have Lightroom 5 on here. So that is the process for installing Lightroom 5 on your Apple Macintosh desktop. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next step, where we're going to show you how to configure Lightroom 5 on first use.